company. PPL, as most of you know, is the local power utility. We've been located in Allentown since we combined. Back in 1920, there were about 8 different utilities all across eastern and central Pennsylvania that were merged together to become Pennsylvania Power and Light Company. In 2000, PPL dropped the ampersand and became PPL Corporation. Today, PPL is a Fortune 500 company. We have about 12,000 employees on 3 different continents. All right, PPL generates electricity in 30 different power plants in northeastern and western United States. We have about 75% of our generation. About 75% of our generation is actually in Pennsylvania, so we're a very localized company. In addition to generating electricity, we buy and sell energy from different utility markets all across the country. The company that I work for, PPL Electric Utilities, is actually the distribution portion of the company. We're the part that sends you your bill. We're the part that comes out when the power goes out, fixes the wires. Like, that's our side of the business. We're a deregulated portion of the industry. Our part of it serves 1.4 million customers in Pennsylvania. We basically go up to Scranton, west to about Lock Haven, Harrisburg, Lancaster County, and south past Quakertown, and everywhere in between. So there's about 1.4 million meters that PPL serves. I think that equates to about 4 million people. All right. PPL strives to be good to the environment. Basically, as everyone knows, to create electricity, we have to burn a resource or manipulate some type of resource. Most of these resources aren't renewable. We burn oil, we burn gas, we burn coal, and nuclear power. Nuclear power is you can go either way with that. It's the easiest to generate with, it's the cleanest to the environment, but the waste is hard to handle. So electricity is not something that's easy to create. PPL tries to be a front runner as far as our negative effect on the environment. We've led the wave of cleaning up our power plants. We put in scrubbers. Scrubbers are basically a chemical wash that goes around the inside of the smokestacks at a coal plant. Using those scrubbers, you reduce the CO2 emissions, and you actually, by using the CO2 waste that's inside the coal plants, is what you use to build gypsum, which is a product used to create drywall. So by putting these scrubbers in, we've actually created a byproduct that most people have in their homes. So there's an upside to that as well. But one of the things that PPL has been trying to do lately is trying to educate other people, so hence why I'm here. Basically, conserving energy helps to protect the environment. Nowadays, there's a big push on global warming. Global warming is generally understood that global warming is created by CO2 emissions, which most cars produce CO2. Anything you burn pretty much produces CO2. A company did, I'm actually going to take a step away from my presentation for a second. A company called the Electric Power Research Institute in 1990 did a CO2 study on utility generation. The study found that if electric demand increased on the same pace as it had from, it was the 1950s. They measured from 1950 to 1990. And they said if the demand increases the same way as it has, that by 2040, so 50 years later, we would double our CO2 output to serve the necessary electricity in the world. Or no, just in North America. So at that point in time, this company, EPRI, started to go around to utilities and say, we need to do something about this. At that time, PPL then started investigating alternative energy sources. We started investigating the scrubbers that I just mentioned before, and some other efforts to reduce our CO2 emissions. Over the next 14 years, EPRI continued to study the CO2 emissions problem, and we found that with numerous different ways, we can actually, by 2040, get back to where we were in 1990 by using alternative energy sources, by using newer, cleaner nuclear power, And about 20% of that reduction in CO2 emissions is going to come from end user energy efficiency. So to help save the environment, now granted by 2040, hopefully I'm retired, but by 2040, there's going to be a whole new need for electricity. There's going to be many new reasons. There's going to be cleaner cars, cleaner homes. You're going to be more efficient naturally because the new technologies are coming out there. But you still have to be conscious of what your electrical use is. Another benefit from energy efficiency is that conserving power saves you money. And conserving money helps the economy, because if you're not spending your money on your bills, you're going to go spend your money on new things, which is good for the economy, which generates better. If you go out and buy more, then you're going to be happier, and then everything just ends up being better, but a better quality of life. And really, that's what a utility is here for. We're here to provide a natural necessity to everyone so that you can raise your quality of life to whatever level you want. Also, energy efficiency and energy conservation promotes energy security, which, as we all know, has anybody ever here gotten a call for a survey from PPL? Has anybody gotten no? Okay, well, one of the major things that most customers are satisfied by is reliability. When it's the hottest day of the year or the coldest day of the year, you want to make sure your electric power is there because you want your furnace to be running, you want your air conditioner to be running, depending on which one it is. You want to make sure your food's not spoiling in the fridge, things like that. We call that energy security. You want to be able to have a phone. You always want to have your phone there, and you always want to have your lights on. You always want to have, these basic necessities. On the hottest days of the year and the coldest days of the year, our electrical system is extremely stressed to provide the level of electricity to everyone. Now, PPL designs the system to meet that need. But when there's outages, when trees fall down and things like that take out our power lines, it's really important that we have some extra capacity to restore customers. By the overall usage across the country being reduced, you'll have that additional capacity naturally because if the wires are already there to serve the load now, if you reduce the load, it gives us more room. All right, it's really easy to save money on your electric bill if you just basically look at a few prime targets. Now, one of the major areas to look at is your appliances and electronics. Typical U.S. home, electronics and appliances are responsible for about 20% of your energy bills. Whether that's gas or electric, it's about 20% of your energy bills. These appliances and electronics include washers, dryers, computers, dishwashers, audio equipment, refrigerators, freezers, air conditioners, whether central or window, your television, your DVD player, your iPods, your cell phones that are plugged in, all those things, water heaters, everything uses energy. That's about 20% of your monthly bill on your standard appliances. Most of those aren't even on. Like your coffee maker, you use, 10 minutes out of the day, and then it's off. But that still totals up to about 20%. Lighting is about 15% of your electricity use. New lighting technologies can reduce the energy use in your home by 50 to 75%. If you look at using the energy efficient light bulbs, the ones that look like, they're called CFLs, but they have like the twisted fluorescence. Other ways to reduce your electric bill is open up your blinds more often during the daytime so you can get more natural light in so you don't have to use as much generated light. Heating and cooling, I was actually saying earlier that I used to install furnaces and air conditioners when I was a kid while I was going to school. Heating and cooling accounts for about 56% of the energy used in a home. And as we all know, during the dead of winter, when it's freezing cold, your heater's running and running and running, that's when you see this big spike in your bill. And if you have air conditioning in the hottest days of the summer, like Monday and Tuesday of this week, you're going to see a big jump in your bill because your air conditioner is running all day and all night, and your fridge and everything is all